well, I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, guys don't know DoseOfDion. He put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
That's basically Matthew Stafford is the reason the Lions have not been a good team. Okay, so Matthew Stafford's contract is the issue with the Detroit Lions. He's getting paid too much money for the Lions to build a good team. That's the argument some people are out there making. Okay, it's an interesting argument, and I think it makes sense if you look at some of the basic numbers. Oh, hey, look, Patrick Mahomes, look, he's on his rookie deal. They're winning. Look at Josh Allen, right? They're winning it. Lamar Jackson. Wow, this is great. That's what the Lions need. They need to go get a Patrick Mahomes, and they'll be perfectly fine. That's the issue. Stafford's getting paid too much money. That is the problem. But I want to explain why that's not the issue. See, what we're basically doing is we are basically using Matthew Stafford as a excuse for the Lions' inability to build a football team. That's what we're doing. We're using his contract because it's the only thing that could logically make sense, right? Oh, we're a terrible team. Well, we can't run the ball. We can't play defense. We can't find a head coach. We can't find consistency there. We fire them after 4 years. So that's got to be Matthew Stafford's fault. Let's put it on the only guy that's been consistent for this franchise over the last, decade. That makes sense, right? That's got to be his fault. He's getting paid too much money. Matthew Stafford's getting paid too much money for the Lions to be successful. He is currently this season, based on averages, on salary, the 13th highest paid quarterback in the league. 13th. Okay. So I guess that's too much money for the Lions to put a defense that's not the worst in the league around him. All right. By the way, put the worst defense they've ever had in NFL history on the field. So basically, Stafford, being the 13th highest paid quarterback by averages this season, is getting paid too much money. So the Lions, they can't build a good team. It's his fault. Maybe get paid less. All right. Makes sense, right? 13th. Oh, I guess that's way up there. Okay. So let's take a look at it. Here's the question I have with that. Is when you take a look at certain quarterbacks, basically what you're telling me is that, okay, Matthew Stafford's not playing at a high enough level for what he's getting paid, and that's why we're not good enough. Because if Stafford played way better defense, the run game, well, forget that. Stafford's playing so well that we'll be okay. A quick note, Matthew Stafford last season had a higher passer rating than Patrick Mahomes, and when he played, we won 3 games out of 8. Yeah, we were 3-4-1 in his 8 games that he played, and through that span, he had a higher passer rating than Patrick Mahomes. Thought I'd point that out, just in case, Matthew's not playing well enough. This ain't going to happen. You can't have the literal worst defense in your franchise's history and not be able to run the football and say, hey, we're going to be a playoff team. I mean, I don't understand why people keep going back to this, but here's the question that I have with that. So taking a look at this season in particular. First guy, let's take a look at Jared Goff. Say the Los Angeles Rams. They are still in the playoffs, all right? The Rams are still in the playoffs. They beat Seattle. Jared Goff is currently making more money on average this season than Matthew Stafford by about $6.5 million. But they're still in the playoffs. So the only logical explanation must be that, well, he's playing so much better than Matthew that, hey, it's worth the money. Now, no one wants to bring up the fact that they can run the ball and play defense better than us, like every team in the league can. But the only logical answer here must be that, hey, he's just playing so well, it's fine. But actually, that's not the case. What if I told you Matthew Stafford's playing better than Jared Goff this year? What if I told you he had a higher passer rating than Jared Goff this season? Oh, wait, he has a higher passer rating? Well, that can't be right. Yeah, that takes into account touchdowns, interceptions, completion percentage, yards. Matthew Stafford has a higher passer rating than that guy that's still in the playoffs, and he's getting paid less. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Clearly, Stafford's the issue. Well, I think that tells you, okay, well, the issue must be then you can't run the ball. You can't play defense, you can't build a team, and you got a bad head coach and a GM because you just fired him. So clearly that was an issue. How about this? Another example. Ben Roethlisberger. Let's take a look at the math. Let's take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers made the playoffs. Did they lose? Yeah, they got bounced. But they made the playoffs. Okay. So the Steelers make the playoffs this year. Ben Roethlisberger making more money than Matthew Stafford by about $7 million. Okay, so Ben's making $7 million more on average than Matthew this year. And yet the Steelers made the playoffs. How did they make the playoffs? Well, Ben Roethlisberger must have been playing so much better than Matthew. But the case is, he didn't. Again, passer rating. Stafford had a higher passer rating than Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger was below average. Then how did they win the division? Well, maybe because they could play defense and they can run the ball. Well, hold up. You can't build a defense if you're paying Stafford as the 13th highest paid quarterback. I mean, oh my gosh, you might just be making all the money. You might as well just not pay anybody anymore. You might as well let Stafford pay the players. Okay, well answer me this then. Then how in 2014 did we have a good defense? Well, Stafford must not have been getting paid. Stafford couldn't have been getting paid then. Well, what if I told you Stafford was actually the 10th highest paid quarterback on averages in 2014? This year, 13th, 2014, 10th. Higher. More money. in terms of how the other. Now, I can't go based on, hey, here's how much you're making this year, how much 2014, because it goes up every year. This year will go down because of COVID, but it goes up every year because the salary cap, right? Keeps getting expanded, keeps getting bigger. But in terms of his peers, he was the 10th highest paid in 2014. Yet the Lions had the second best defense in the league. So how is that the case? Oh, so you can build a defense with what you're paying Matthew. So you're telling me, okay, hold up. We can have a top defense in the league and have Matthew Stafford. Well, then what's going wrong right now? Well, I'll tell you. Your defense is trash. You can't run the ball. You have a terrible head coach, and you got no GM. You're going to be terrible. You don't want to take the time to look at anything else. You just want to look at, well, like Patrick Mahomes won a Super Bowl. Yeah, how good is that Chiefs team? You know what people don't want to bring up? Is the fact that we don't know how to find a head coach. Well, hold up. That 2014 defense, that must have been built in 2013. Well, Stafford in 2013 was the second highest paid quarterback. So you built it in 2013, but Stafford was getting paid that much money? Come on, man. The issue is you don't know how to hire a head coach. And once you hire him, you don't know how to keep him. The issue is either one, they spend it in the wrong place, or two, here's the biggest issue, honestly. You hire a coach that doesn't know how to coach a team. You let them bring in their guys. They bring in their dudes. They try to build an organization. Then they struggle, and you fire them. So then you're stuck with that mess. The next guy comes in. He's like, oh, wow, this is a mess. Let me get rid of these guys. Okay, next year, let me bring in my guys. All right, they struggle. Guess what? You fire them. You are repeating the same process over and over and over. You can't build a defense, not because you don't have money. You paid Trey Flowers $90 million. You paid Collins $30 million. You paid Nick Williams $10 million. You paid Trufant $20 million. You traded for Griffin. You traded for Harmon. It's not that you don't have money. It's that you can't coach and you can't build a team because there's no one ever here to coach the team. And the team you put together usually is whack. This team is an absolute embarrassment aside from Matthew. That's not because he's getting paid too much money. That's because you can't build a team because you don't have the people that know how to build a team. That's because you signed guys like Trufant who barely played this year. It was unfortunate. It didn't work out. You gave $50 million to Big V. Why don't we point to the fact that, hey, maybe we don't sign the right players. Maybe we're not drafting the right players. How about we point back to the owners? Maybe we're not hiring the right people. Hey, maybe we need to not put out letters that says we have to be a playoff contender or you will be fired. Nah, it's got to be Matthews. Throw it on the quarterback. Let's throw it on that guy. How do the numbers tell you that? Well, the only time the Lions finished top half in the league in rushing, they made the playoffs. Their defense was terrible, but they finished top half in the league in rushing yards per carry, 14th, and they made the playoffs. The only time we had a defense, we made the playoffs. It's not that Matthew's getting paid too much. It wasn't like overnight, now he's getting paid way more than everybody else. So, hey, you know what? We can't build a team now because Matthew's paid too much. Patrick Mahomes making $45 million. And yes, Patrick Mahomes is incredible. Dude's making $45 million. That's almost doubling what Matthew's going to make. $45 million. I don't care about what Mahomes is doing. I don't care. He's great. But tell me how a guy is making $45 million has a team that runs the ball and plays defense better than us. If it's a salary issue, then why does that team play defense and can run the ball and we can't? Because we're saving $18 million if you're comparing it to the Chiefs. We're saving 18 on Stafford. I don't care what Stafford's doing. Throw Stafford out of the equation for a second. The Chiefs are allowing 22.5 points per game. We are allowing 31 points per game. So it turns out it's been a little bit generous with our defensive stats. We're actually giving up 32.4 points per game. Okay, and no team in the league is averaging that many points per game. You know why that's an issue? Because all that Kansas City offense that's led by Mahomes is averaging less points per game than we are giving up. So technically, even if you had Mahomes and that offense in Detroit, you would still lose every game. If you're going by numbers, you're going to lose every single game you play in. Because guess what? You're giving up 31 a game and you're only scoring 29. You're losing every single game. Run the ball better than us too. Mahomes ain't getting all those yards with his legs. With 112 yards per game rushing, we average like, what, 90, 94? This stuff has never changed. Matthew came into this team, they lost every game. We're the first team to ever lose every single football game we played in. First team to ever do it. Lost every single game when he came in. And we haven't changed. We're still that same garbage team. That's why we lost every single game last season. We lost every game we played in last season without Matthew. This is the same bad team. It's the same bad team as of right now. And it needs to change. And it starts with the leader at the top, the coaching and GM. It does not start with Matthew. Matthew is one of 50-plus players. You know what Patrick Mahomes came into? Patrick Mahomes didn't come into 0-16 garbage franchise. He came into franchise making playoff appearances with Alex Smith. Stafford said, oh, hey, we are 0-16. Fix it. And the first time you gave him a resemblance of a running game, you made the playoffs. Ryan Tannehill with the Miami Dolphins made one playoff appearance. One. 2012 to 2019, one playoff appearance. One. That's it. With the Tennessee Titans, this season, he is making more money than he has ever made, and it's not even that close. But yet they made the playoffs. Not even close. And Ryan Tannehill's numbers the last couple of years have been incredible. Is it that all of a sudden he just got better? He went to Titans and now, hey, now I'm a great quarterback. I just decided to be great today. When they run like they do with Derrick Henry, it opens everything up. The pass rating skyrockets. His yards aren't huge. He's just super efficient because they can run the ball so well. It makes your quarterback a lot better when you can run the ball like that. In Miami, he didn't have that to work with. This is the same quarterback. He didn't just get better. We have football people in the organization. They don't know what's going on. If they buy into the logic that, oh, he's getting paid too much. You know why he's getting paid? Because he's the only guy that produces consistently. Has he dealt with some injury issues? Yes. Is he missing a whole bunch of time because of it? Not really. Hey, he missed a Tampa Bay game. You're going to win that game. You gave up 47 points, man. You gave up 47 points. You fired your head coach during the season. How about we talk about how many coaches, how many offensive coordinators, how many quarterback coaches he's had to deal with? Look at good teams. They have good coaches. They have consistency. They can run. They can play D. They can at least do one of the two. We can't do anything. I mean, this team is a literal joke, and we want to throw it on his contract? I mean, it's ridiculous. Come on, man. We're better than that.